I'm gonna go ahead and start it.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Michelle's back, so.
We'll go ahead if everybody's okay with that, and start our regular board meeting. Call to order in a roll.
Johnson. Here. Liskus.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
I. Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Donald.
Here.
Rasmus.
Here. Welcome, everyone. We have some people joining us online still. And public forum, anything on the agenda or not on the agenda?
How come these screens aren't all the same? It's Julie down here.
Well, I have to turn, we have a different system now. Cameron, I'll turn that over to you for explanation.
Yeah, but this is just the main display now. These are two weird ones. So if someone's talking, they'll show up on there. That shows your participants.
Oh,
So that's our new camera and mic system up there.
oh,
It's a lot fancier than our old one.
Well, it is.
I think our old one stopped working, actually.
It's not reliable, let's say that.
People that want to know when the walking track is going to be open.
When's walking track going to be open?
Does anybody know?
I thought we had opened that. We ordered new cards.
I think
Is our walking track open? I thought it was or not, Karen?
The walking track is open, however, our system is down, so some cards are working and some are not. We are working with Southern Iowa Technology to get a new system in place, and hopefully that will read the same cards. Otherwise, we'll have to figure out a different system. So the walking track is open. It's open after school hours, of course, but some cards are not working. We've been talking with the patrons about that, and we did have to post a note on the door.
Is it open before school hours also, Karen?
We have practices before school hours as well as after school, so it begins at 4:30.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Anything else for public forum? On the next item on the agenda, there is one change to the agenda down on item F. Instead of approved purchase agreement materials for Central Ward Elementary, Tom advises us that this evening it's just discuss those materials. And Tommy said Mike Krager is going to join us.
Mike Krager said he would be here before 7.
So if, with that change, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda with the amendment change.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Point to aye, say yes. The opposed say no. We do have our minutes from our last board meeting, August 9th minutes. Any changes or comments about the minutes? If there's not, we could have a motion to approve them.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Switch back to yes, Tanya. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. No old business under new business. We have approved an out-of-state national FFA convention trip. Yes.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Elizabeth Logston. I'm asking for approval to take 6 students leaving on Wednesday, October 27th, returning on Saturday, October 30th. I'm asking for use of 1 school Suburban and the first tank of gas and a sub for me for 3 days. The remainder of the cost will be paid from our FFA account and by the students who are attending.
So you have an FFA account that's paid for hotels and everything?
Yes. Our activity fund.
If there's any more questions for this?
Motion to move the trip as presented.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Thank you. Yes, thanks for everything you do for the program.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it very much.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
We have, our next item is approve Howard Phase One project change order. Number 2, Rochelle is with us. Rochelle was going to review that and answer any questions that the board has.
Well, there she is.
So Rochelle, we'll let you go ahead if you would like.
Yes, that sounds good. Thanks for having me tonight. So we have change order number 2 for you guys to approve. There are 4 items on that change order. Items 1 through 3 are changes that were required due to some unknown conditions, and also the state fire marshal wanted us to make those changes. They are to the corridors. We had to extend walls up to the roof deck in the corridors, modify some fire alarm devices, and also remove and spray some existing wood boxes that were for the original skylights that were in the corridors and some common areas in the 1950s wing. And then the 4th item on there was adding a bulkhead in the STEM lab for some new ductwork that we added in there. And that totaled to around $28,000, and we are taking that out of the contingency. So the contingency started off at 75, and now the remaining balance of that contingency is $46,904.83.
Okay, questions for Rochelle? Please go ahead.
What was change order number 1?
Davis.
Yes,
Oh.
Davis Bacon. Yep.
That didn't cost. Okay.
We did not take that out of the contingency. We just increased the value of the project for that amount.
Motion to approve change order number 2.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you.
No, Rochelle, is there going to be another change order?
Yes, we will have another one. We have a couple other existing conditions that we've had to work through. So yes, we will have a couple. We don't have final pricing yet. So once we have that, we will get that together and put that in front of you guys as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item, we should appoint, or we can appoint, a board member delegate for the delegate assembly for the Iowa Association of School Boards. And then I should have the dates right in front of me. It's in November. I just don't have the specific dates.
November,
17th. Is that 17th? I believe?
It's December.
Just also a reminder that if any of you want to go or attend.
So let Lisa know.
17, 18, and 19 is what I've written down.
So the delegate assembly will probably be the 17th.
Yes. And you go 1 day, 2 days, half day, whatever you want to do. And you haven't received anything in the mail on the, you have?
Yeah. Couple of
Okay, then you know all about it.
Well, not enough detail. I think we know who the main speakers are, but not the exact schedule.
The delegate assembly where the school district will be represented in the voting process of prior legislative priorities for the association. It's the, if you will, the end of the process of what we send in our priorities, meshed with everybody else's priorities and how they turned out on a state level. You want to just think about it, and if you do think you'd like to represent the district at the delegate assembly, in addition to attend any of the other days, let Lisa know.
delegate assembly is like a half day, I think.
Yes, I think it's just the morning, isn't it? Yeah, it's just the morning. Whoever our delegate is, you'll receive a packet with all the voting materials and everything, how it will be run. See, we still have, we can do that, if we don't do it this evening, we can bring it up again at our next, at the work session, right?
When do we have to let the state know? Or
Just, that I don't know.
Is anyone interested?
Yeah, if anybody's like to go,
If that makes it easier.
it's an experience.
is anybody planning on attending?
Yes, I'm going. I'm already got a hotel room, everything.
Would you like to be the delegate? You've been a delegate before.
I've been a delegate. It looks like a canned thing to me. You get excited about it. It's just- My job is to raise my hand on cue kind of a thing. It seems to
Well, you
me.
need to get up and talk at the
Well,
mic.
yeah, you got some things changed. I didn't think you could even get that done there. Just- It was scripted, who was gonna speak in favor.
Yeah, so you can disrupt that, and that's the nice part about it. Joe, I've been appointed.
I'm interested in going to the convention because there's some courses I'd like to go and basically some seminars I'd like to take again and get a refresher on some things. I just haven't committed my wife to knowing that I'm going to be gone, so therefore she has to be at the store.
You are asking permission, is what you're saying.
I am coordinating schedules.
Yes, right.
It says registration is up until the 10th, November 10th. So I don't know if that's just for the whole convention.
I've noticed when I have, when there's delegate packets sitting right here, picked up by the delegate, so some districts do.
Yeah.
And relatively last minute.
Can we appoint you, Bob, just so we got this taken care of?
Yeah, then we can change it. We can-
Move to appoint Bob.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mike and Kevin.
Well, I was sitting here thinking you shouldn't appoint anybody till after the election.
You can do that too.
That gives, is there a meeting,
That's way too late.
is there a meeting after, and is there a meeting between those 2 dates?
The meeting is,
Election's the third most.
well, the official camp, our meeting is November 15th.
Yeah, we got, that's, choose the way now.
We'll go this route that Mike and Kevin suggested about the, at this point in time, we can always change. Do we have a motion second to appoint Bob as our delegate for the assembly? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Thank you. We do have, approve the second reading of board policy 501.3 that is in our packet. And there have been no changes to the policy since the first reading. Is there any comments or questions at this time? Now, we could have a motion to approve the second reading.
Motion to approve second reading.
Thanks, Mike. Your second?
Second.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed,
Yes.
say no. We have, the next item is approval agrees, counseling and consulting contract. It's associated with the therapeutic classroom in Eddie Gold Lake. Tom, is there anything you'd like to?
No, this is a component of those, that's all those services there. And so each of the boards of that consortium, Davis, I don't know, list 6, asked that the boards approve this. It's under the umbrella.
Move to approve the contract.
Second. Motion and a second to approve the agrees, counseling and consulting contract. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Mike, that couldn't have been more perfect time.
I ran as far as I could. All the
We have Mike here to discuss, which would be what we will be doing, not approving this evening, as we mentioned, discuss the purchase agreement materials for Central Ward Elementary. So, Mike, do you want to
Sure.
walk us through them or?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, so what you guys should have in front of you guys is a resolution for the, I see that.
The two,
Right here.
Mike,
Yeah.
the two that you added this afternoon, they don't have those yet.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Great, you gonna hand them out?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That's one of them, and this is the other.
That's great.
Okay.
So there's a notice of sale of real estate by public bid. Okay. And so. That's that.
There's two of them. Mike's gonna give you one, and I'm gonna give you one.
Everything, it seems like every document got some data.
Yes.
That's gotta be part of it.
All right. Okay.
Kept one, kept scrolling.
Okay, so you should have two things. One is a notice of sale of real estate by public bid. The second one is resolution authorizing the conveyance of property. And there was also a purchase agreement. Is that purchase agreement? You guys have that already? Just got the purchase agreement? Okay, great. All right. So I guess let me walk you through the process. I was approached by Tom about, I guess a couple months ago, about drafting documents for the sale of the Centerville School by a bid process. All right, and a lot of cities, communities sell real estate through bid process. School districts sell stuff through a bid process. And so I have followed that procedure, the same procedure that we use for a bunch of different municipalities or school districts in these documents. All right, and so there's a process that's required under Iowa law. First process is that you have to you have to set forth what that process is going to be for you guys. All right, and that is the notice of sale of real estate by public bid, public hearing for conveyance of property. All right. So in this document, what you are doing is you're saying that we are going to have, we're going to accept bids for the sale of this property. And those bids are going to be due at 2:00 p.m. on, I think it's October 11th. All right. And so you're saying to the public, I want you to bid on, if you want to bid on this property, you need to bid on it. To bid on it, you have to deliver this purchase agreement that's attached as Exhibit B, signed by you with a number filled in on the purchase price. And then you also have to deliver at that time earnest money of 20% of the purchase price, right? That earnest money has to be by certified check and it's payable to my trust account. All right, that money's held in trust until we have a closing for this transaction. Does it close that night? When you have a deal like this, a sale of, a substantial piece of property, somebody's likely going to have a lender. Hopefully they'll have to have a lender. Hopefully they'll get financing in place. Hopefully they'll attract a lot of bidders, but it takes time to get that process through there. They'll have to have an abstract that they'll have to review to get lender approval. And we need time for that process. All right. So the purchase agreement. So that document says you have to do these things, and then at the board meeting, you'll have a public hearing the night of the 11th before your board meeting, just right before it. You guys will have a public hearing in which the bids will be opened. I had that they're going to be opened by the secretary. I'm not too sure who that is. I'm guessing over here. So the secretary will open up and announce the bids for that evening. And then you're going to close the public hearing. You're going to ask for any comments, any questions, close the public hearing, and then you guys are going to go into your normal board meeting. And in your normal board meeting, you're going to have one item is going to be the approval of the sale of this property. And you guys have some choices. If you have a bunch of bidders and you really like the bids, you'll probably take the highest bidder and approve that. All right, at that meeting. If you don't like any of the bids, you say, I don't really like what's going on. I don't like this sale. You can absolutely reject the bids if you want to. So it leaves it in your hands to make a decision on whether or not you sell this property at that price, whatever they bid for. All right, you're not forced to do it, but the process is there to do it, and I'd expect debate, on that at that time.
Can we accept any of the bids, or do we have to accept the highest bid?
You don't have to accept the highest bid, but you probably have to have a pretty good reason on why you don't. Like one reason might be that, you don't believe that person is going to, you don't like what they're gonna build there potentially. That's a legitimate reason. But really, you're talking cash here. It's a cash sale. You're not really asking for a development plan for the building that you want to approve. So I think it's going to be hard for you guys to say the highest bidder doesn't win, unless you know something about that person, or there's evidence that they're not going to follow through with the purchase. They have to put 20% down, so you're going to get hopefully a significant dollar amount down. If they fail to perform, you'll get that money, and you guys can sell it to the next person if you want to.
So do we have it written in there that they need to specify what they are going to?
Yeah, that was.
No, I don't have that now, but I can't. I can modify it.
I think we want that. That's what we've had in the past.
This process seems to circumvent all of the discussion we had earlier about a qualified buyer who was going to treat the building with the respect that we thought it would deserve, that we would see their plan, what they were going to do with it. Otherwise, we're going to wind up with another Green Street project or another flea market. I don't had a open sealed bids, and then award one. That really doesn't give us much of an opportunity to research that buyer for, what their plans are, or what their capabilities are.
Sure. Yeah, you're getting at 2:00 as well, the day of the bid, so you're not going to have much chance to even know what those are. So if you guys want me to build that into that, I can.
What would you suggest, Mike, if the board's interested?
Well, if they're interested in it, then I would say that you have other requirements other than the A and B on here. You add in some additional requirements, and I can come up with some that, just generically, it would be provide a development plan, your plan for the development of the building. And what, evidence of your resources that are available to follow through with that plan. For example, a loan commitment, or a plan, designs or plans, for what we're planning to do for that site. Evidence you have the ability to do it.
What's the board feel?
I think I just want building now. I think it has to meet city requirements anyway for where it's zoned. And as long as it meets those zoning requirements, I don't feel that we have any more obligation other than to sell the property. If they buy it and they can't do what they want because it's not zoned that way, that's on them. The city will tell them it's not zoned, you can't do that.
And that's a good point. We did talk about it in one of the meetings that, we do have a zoning process in place now that we didn't have previously, where if somebody wants to develop that site, they're going to have to present a plan to the city for review and approval to show that they comply with zoning. Okay, so that plan is going to be show setback lines, tell them what the uses are going to be, show that they have parking available for that, show that the use is available in the zoning. There are, a myriad of restrictions in the zoning now that used to not be there. And that's part of the process. They present that to the city planning commission. City planning commission reviews it and comments on it. And then it goes to the council for their approval. So there is a process in place, to handle that process, but I don't fault you guys for wanting to do that as well. I'm really not here to tell you which way to go, but you guys can have requirements. I think it'd be kind of similar to what the city requirements would be.
There are some safeguards in place to prevent what Mike talked about, something that would be undesirable for the community.
There are some safeguards, but the zoning, if they don't change the building, if they keep the building kind of in its current position, they are, let's say they do an office use in there. Well, the office use would be allowed overall, and there would not be a lot of approvals that would be necessary other than to show parking. because the building's really not changing, the footprint of the building probably wouldn't change. They just need to show how they're gonna comply with parking overall. So, there's it may not be, maybe you guys really don't want office, and you guys would say, I'm sure it's just the opposite, Let's say they want to put apartments, or, HUD housing in there. Okay, or affordable housing in that area, and they want to put in, 20 units in there. Well, that would be, if they're within the existing building and they're not building out, then they really don't have to change the footprint of the building, and then that's going to be allowed regardless of setbacks, because it's an existing structure out there. And then they will just have to show really that they meet parking, and then they'll have to get it inspected, each of the units inspected.
I guess visions of the Hubbard House cross my mind.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I guess I'm not sure how the zoning works in that area and what would be allowed and what wouldn't.
So what was going on at the Hubbard House? I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
And so what happened there is that the city implemented an inspection process. Okay, and when they started the inspections, they had like 500 units to look at in the city. And so they started systematically going through each one of those units. And when they hit the Hubbard House, which was one of the early ones on the list, they found deplorable conditions inside of there. Before then, there was no inspections done of that property. And once they did, they shut it down immediately. And, it's been vacant. It was vacant for a number of years after they shut it down. And so, I think it's harder for folks to do that now. But the city has, one person doing those inspections, and there's a lot of units. Now they've really canvassed most everyone, and it's gotten a lot smoother, but, it's not the.
I guess I would like to see some requirements in this bid, simply because someone could buy it and just sit on it for the next 30 years.
They very well could.
And that would still meet all the zoning requirements.
It would. That's exactly right.
So I would like to think that we could at least defend our decision to sell to this person as when we were provided this kind of influence.
Well, but say even if they let us in for 30 years, there's still certain requirements. It has to be in acceptable shape. It can be a depleted, dilapidated building. It can't, I guess I look at it as it gets as long as it's something that's in the law, well, state, city, whatever, it gets it off our books, gets it on the tax roll, no matter what it is. We're not paying another $1,300 a month for an empty building for just utilities, like we're paying this one. We're not letting it deteriorate anymore. Because the sooner we can get it gone, the better.
The one thing that I can say about that is that by putting it, by just selling it here into a private individual, it will put it onto the tax rolls, and there's going to be a carry cost for that building. You're going to have the cost to maintain the utilities in the building itself. That's a significant cost in of itself, as you guys I'm sure know. And then you're also going to have taxes that are due every year, and it will be appraised and start to be taxed. So whoever buys that property, if they don't develop it, let it pay the taxes, eventually go on the tax roll, for sale. But, at a minimum, you're at least going to get property on the tax rolls of the city and county and the school district.
Is it online to say we want to see basically a letter of intent from a bank? What I don't want, and I'm kind of in between these two guys. I want to know is, do they have the borrowing capacity and a loan approval or pre-approval, so that when it comes to closing, we know they're going to close and we don't find out, oh, we can't do this, and then we got to go back and start the process and we really have not qualified.
Are you talking about the ability to pay the purchase price?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can require either evidence that they have, that you can say, I want all of it. I want the cash down. Put all the cash down.
I'm okay with the 20%, but if they just have a letter from the bank saying, yeah, we're going to loan you money.
You can do that, or you can have them show evidence that they have the.
Right, either way.
Financial evidence that they have the capacity to pay for the property.
I guess I don't need something as specific as maybe Mike, but I just would like to know, I think when we had the bids from Green Street, we just it was much more informal, like, hey, just tell us what you're doing. You don't need it. It wasn't like have plans and specs and all what the cost is gonna be and all that stuff. It was just like, I'm gonna use it for storage, I'm gonna use it for a banquet hall, I'm gonna use it for whatever, and that I felt like influenced our decision a little bit, like, okay, well, they have a good idea of what to do with it, let's do it. So, I mean, that's more what I was thinking, because I agree, it's costing us money, we wanna get rid of it. You know, we have no control what's gonna happen
No, we don't.
after itself.
We don't, but I would ask, and I wasn't involved in that sale, and I'm not sure how it all followed up, but were you happy with what happened after the sale?
I am, I think
Okay,
that it's I don't see why it's a bad thing for the community, it's another place for people to have a banquet, I mean, it was a bar, someone lives there, they still are having events now, I don't know if it's switched owners or not.
It's for sale, I think.
Well, I think that I haven't seen the for sale sign, and they have signs up again saying that they're having events there.
Yeah.
So,
It was-
I mean, to me, that isn't, I see it as a benefit to the community, not a drawback, so.
Yeah, that's fine. It just kind of veered left or right from what our earlier discussion,
Yeah,
qualified buyers and that sort of
Our
thing.
original concern of being more concerned about Central than Garfield or the green room was, that's an important location. That gives a first impression to people. And we didn't want to be the people that let the wrong people get in there. I think that was our different thinking from the other places around.
Yeah, sure.
What kind of direction would we like to give Mike for his assistance?
That's a good question.
I mean, I can draft it any way you guys want. I mean, I definitely could put like how to provide a statement for what your intended use is of the
I think a
property.
statement would satisfy me.
Right, me too.
Sure, and maybe,
But is that, I mean, if they say, well, I'm gonna use it for office space. Well, they can say they're gonna do that, but that doesn't mean that's what they're gonna do.
Right.
once it's over, it's over.
So what, I mean,
Well, once it's over, it's not necessarily over. You guys we talked about in our first meeting that you guys could put restrictions on the property and just restrict it to certain uses and, have design approval rights and things like that. But, well, you guys didn't want to go that way. I understand that. Yeah. Mhm. And again, that's where we talked a little bit about the city and that the city's, needs to protect its city,
Yeah, right.
has a process in place to do that now.
Well, perhaps it does let us, along the lines, it does let us at least say that we knew what they were intending to do with the property. I don't know how important that is to the board.
Sooner or later, we'll have to defend this decision. Right or wrong, we will have to defend it.
So based on the timeline and everything to ask them to come in and give a proof of concept of what they're gonna do, there's not enough time in there.
Well, I don't think there's enough time to, I mean, unless you're just thinking of someone locally gonna buy this thing. October is probably enough time.
But I think what are you gonna use, a statement, and what are you gonna use it for? And do you have the money to close? Those would be good, because I'm with Mike, it's just like, yeah, let's get this off the books, but to get off the books, we gotta know that they got the money to close.
We didn't have any luck with a realtor, or did we ever try that?
What did we do with?
No, because I don't know, any time that we've had sale of property, you don't go through a realtor.
I don't think that the board ever said that's what they wanted to do, did they?
Yeah, we talked a little bit.
We talked about choosing which realtor, and then we were gonna see if the realty companies would
I think we
submit
talked
a
about
proposal.
at our facilities committee.
Maybe that was.
Yeah.
I don't think I got any direction that,
That's fine. That's fine.
So, I mean, I guess, you guys can ask for that, concept. You can ask for, I can build in something to provide evidence of either financing or, evidence you can financially afford this transaction. But in the end, once you pick somebody, it's really out of your hands. There's no obligation for them to build that on the property,
understand.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, you know, it's, you're kind of taking them at their word, and it's not really an enforceable obligation. Okay?
Is October 11th, basically less than 30 days, is that enough?
I don't think so.
I don't think
I
so.
think we give more time.
I think we,
Yeah.
if we're
Give
gonna
people time to
track,
develop their, attract bids.
I would suggest you guys advertise it, you know, I mean, put it on the internet, put it on, you know,
Yeah.
maybe, you know, let the broker community know what you're doing.
sure.
Meet with them, you know, tell them what you're doing. So
I
they
don't
have
think it
an
hurt to
idea.
push this thing out, 60 to 90 days
Sure.
to get,
I agree.
I think December.
January, first of January, somewhere in there. I mean, we're not that far out.
I think the only thing is that it's a very hot market right now, just generally
Yes,
for real
and then I
estate.
think we get
So,
into Mike's thing of, hello, we want to get rid of the thing, so I think
I mean, right
we
now,
need to do it this
I
calendar
think
year.
give people 60 to 90 days to get their stuff together.
Well,
we're
if
spending
you were a developer of any
$13 a month on utilities right now, an empty building, that's not even winter.
It's what now?
We're spending 13, we're getting ready
Yeah,
to
but we're
approve.
getting rent from.
Right, but I mean, we're still spending $1,300.
But our rent is offsetting most of that, I think.
But right now, if something happens to the roof, it's on us. I mean, we need to,
60 days to put you second Monday of
I think that sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
60 days. Okay. So second, so we have approval, your first meeting maybe in November, is that?
Yeah, well, I can give you a date on the meeting. November 15th is, that's just a week later because of the board election. So it's November 15th,
Okay. Sounds
the
good.
third Monday of November. And so your documents that you're gonna
I can
adjust,
modify them easily.
you modify them and then
Yeah.
they'll have time to look at those.
Yeah.
But they do need to can we still take action on the process on next, 2 weeks from tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Do we just have a special meeting before the work session?
Yeah,
We do that all the
It
time.
has to be a special meeting rather than work session.
yeah, we'll just put it at 6:30 with a special board meeting and act, and then we can go into a work session. We can have a committee meeting at 5 if we want to.
Sounds good.
Okay, can I ask one other question? So I had the bids opening at 2 and then the meeting at the end of the day. That doesn't give much time for you guys to, actually, we just had them delivered by 2. It's actually opened at the meeting. Bids were opened at the meeting. Do you want to have maybe the bids opened earlier, like a week earlier? Do you want to have a week to look at it, to see what people have turned in? How would you?
I don't think that'd be a bad idea.
I know last
On a
time
couple
for
days?
sure we had already had them on via email and in our packet
Mhm.
before
Yeah,
we
I
came
know.
to the
It
meeting.
probably
I
needed
know that
open and
for
sealed
sure.
before the board meeting, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
at least 2 or 3
how much-
days.
How much time do you guys need from an administrative side to get those into packets and before me?
We could, so if it's gonna be acted on November 15th, the third Monday, and how long do you folks, can 5 working days give you enough to
If
look?
we have the 8th or whatever.
The
Monday
8th, let's just,
yeah.
let's just shoot for the 8th and let's at least see something that I do not.
Question, so we're talking about, that's when we're going to accept and approve bids. Do we have to have, when this is modified, do we have to approve the contract in the way the wording is? So before anyone can even take a packet and all that stuff, we have to get this squared away.
I guess what I will do is that I will modify this language based on our discussion tonight, which I'm hearing that we need to have basically a plan and financial.
Statement of purpose.
That's right, I can generally put that in here, all right, and then, so they'll deliver A, the real estate purchase agreement signed, B, the cashier's check for 20% of the purchase price, C, an outline of their plan for the development, and D is going to be evidence that supports their ability to pay the full purchase price, either a loan commitment as an example, or financial statements for it. Okay,
Do we have to approve that before anyone can take have it 2 years.
Yes, yes, so we don't have to be approved at the meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 years.
Yeah, that's what.
And the purchase agreement is gonna be about the same. You know, there's really not much changes in the purchase agreement. The one question I had on that, was, I guess,
Kitchen equipment.
yeah, the kitchen equipment and playground, equipment. I heard from Tom today that the playground equipment will stay there. There's really not a use for it. And the kitchen equipment, he hadn't really had a chance to think through that, but it's whatever's left. The way I've changed it is it's whatever equipment's left at the time of the closing they get.
I talked to Tim after you and I had talked, and he said there isn't anything of value that we haven't decided to.
Okay. The other thing is on the tenant out there. I don't know how long the tenant is anticipated being out there.
December.
December, okay.
That's
So
right.
it'll probably be,
Yeah, I think it is December.
so it'll probably be after, or they'll be out before the closing.
Yeah, and they know that.
Okay.
You put that together for us too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just couldn't remember. I think we had kind of an open-ended concept on when they,
And they had agreed that when we're ready for them to leave I think that language is in.
Maybe they'll buy it.
you guys comfortable if that gives you enough time then to get with the broker community to get them understanding what's going on and advertise, okay? That's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks to you. Thanks. That's right. Yeah. Take a shower.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Later, guys.
I would just mention, so we don't forget, I think everybody is interested in us doing some level of advertising. So,
Yes.
I want to make sure that we keep that on our radar to get that done. There's not a lot of time between now and then.
No, what would be an appropriate way to advertise it?
I have to answer that because I don't have no idea.
Well, personally, I thought of a few people in the community, and so I reached out to a couple of them, and then there's another one now that it's, we know what we're doing, and just saying, hey, this is available for bid, and seeing if they're interested. And then I think you should just do a flyer. I don't want to volunteer Mecca, but I mean, I think it's something that would be up her alley, and put it on the website, and then all of us share it on Facebook. And I mean, I think that that's an easy way, and then,
I think we need to get it to Mike Mathis at PAC.
yeah,
Because he can get it listed there, the state website.
yep, and, I don't know who took over Lynn's position. What position is that? Sarah,
Oh, that's Mike Mathis.
that's the same position, okay.
Right.
So, well, I thought PAC was Delaney, but,
No.
okay, I'll,
She was suggesting some type of a single page flyer. type.
yeah, just a single page flyer, you know, picture of it, square footage, info, and bid due such and such, and here's where you send it, and here's the A, B, and C that we want, and I would just have it on a flyer and
Can we
pass them out.
commit some money to this advertising? Especially if like Mike Mathis.
So we talked today about putting something in the Des Moines Register that comes out on Sundays. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but it's one avenue, so there would be some cost of that, but.
Yeah.
I don't think there would be anything with Mike Mathis, but, I mean, if we spent $3,000 or $4,000 on getting the word out, if that need be, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
I think when the, also, the board of supervisors have statewide organizations, Iowa League of Cities, different things that way that have different.
Well, that's like Mike Mathis, there's a database of economic development sites. I think that's
Okay.
I don't know another one besides that.
To me, I think we wouldn't need to spend that much money, but that's like, you could email it to a lot of our local groups to spread the word. And then I would think it wouldn't be the flyer, but you could do a press release and give that to pretty much any newspaper, and that would be free to publish a press release.
So I don't think there's any local person that would have contacted us by now if they were interested. This is one of those places where I dealt with a fraternity house that we tried to sell. So you have people with a vision and no money, you have people with money with no vision. And you gotta find that perfect character that's got both of those qualities, and I don't think they're in Centerville.
I've had two locals.
Have you?
I was gonna say, the people that I reached out to seemed like, hey, tell me when
We've had 3 entities walk through it.
Oh, good.
we might be surprised.
Yeah, I hope we are. I'd like to see something positive come out of it.
Tom, thanks for engaging Mike. It certainly raises my level of comfort when Mike's assisting us on these kinds of things. All right, folks, good discussion. I think, reading it wrong, our next item would be approved personnel business procedures. A lot of times we often take these as a group. There's quite a few, so we can talk about any that you would like. There was one that is on the table, Crystal Johnson, for a nurse position.
I'd like to talk about that one, yes.
Let's go ahead and talk about that.
So this gives us 4 nurses then?
Not for full-time, 3.5.
How is this being paid? This position?
The ESSER dollars.
Yes, my question on that is, I mean, we've gotten by with 2 for several years. And we're still trying to come up with ways of increasing support staff wages. ESSER be paid to use for that. Can be used for support staff wages?
No. Lisa?
Is this something that we're looking to continue with then?
It is ESSER dollars, and when that's ESSER dollars, it's very clear to this person that her job is dependent upon ESSER dollars, and when they dry up, then her position doesn't exist anymore. That's the other nurse as well. I mean, the principals can weigh in. We just have such a tremendous need of kids right now with COVID issues and sick issues and a variety of other things. And we talked about it and thought that there was a need for it, according to them. So that's why we brought it up. And we have a funding source for it that doesn't impact the general fund.
And that fund's good for more than one.
Well, I think it's needs to be in 24,
24.
3 years ago.
You know, in the past, when we've had a nurse gone, you guys, we all kind of say like, hey, somebody's missing, we're gonna need you, we're gonna call. But we really do have some major health needs in our building. And our concern is, I'm not sure we have 3 or 4 minutes from, you know, the closest nurse at Howard to come to Lakeview under some of the situations that our kids' healthcare needs include. And I don't want to go into those just to protect everyone's privacy, but there are really some critical situations. When I brought that up, I know Karen said, oh, we're kind of in the same boat at Howard. Matt said, you know, I can kind of match you. We have some of those same issues at the high school. So we did just feel like being able to respond to those kids' medical emergency situations were so much more important than, you know, kind of trying to decide where we were going to put that resource. And God forbid that person not be at the right place at the right time. So with the ESSER dollars, we just felt like, you know, those needs on top of the fact of the number of needs that we are communicating with and working with the Iowa Department of Public Health and Appanoose County Public Health. I mean, it is astronomical, you guys, what's going on in those areas right now in our worlds. And the good news is that there was a day where those kids wouldn't have been your average Joes in the school. So thank God our education systems allowed for that, but our nurses are playing a vital part of helping meet their medical needs to allow for that.
Thanks, Jerry. Any questions about that position or any other position you'd like to ask about? Anything else on personal business procedures? I guess let me phrase it that way.
Motion approved, business procedures A through F. That's the addition to the receipt.
Second.
Thank you. Motion to approve the personal business procedures. Is seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Thank you. I think my papers read that include the volunteer agreement, so committee reports. Yep, and Kevin helped me out, but I would just say that Finance Committee met and the things that we talked about, Rochelle went over the change orders, of course, the facilities committee. We continued our conversation about support staff compensation, both near term and long term. So we're going to be doing some, Lisa's going to help us do some evaluation on the potential to some near-term impacts on support staff salary. But also we recognize that Finance Committee has to spend some concentrated time on an improved system, improved schedule. Hopefully, maybe, I'm sure by the next time the Finance Committee meets, Lisa will have done an analysis of can we do anything for our support staff now? And now that our financial picture from last year is clearer than it was before, let's see if we can do something that would help people right now. We brought up early retirement. We're studying that before we bring it to the full board. It's driven by the fact that our financial plan does include the reduction of staff positions in order to stay on track financially, and early retirement is one way of doing that, of reducing staff positions. So what we'll be bringing more back to the board on that. And then we talk about Central, pretty much the same kind of thing we talked about with Mike. Brooke or Kevin, anything else to add to that? Those are the topics that we went over.
I think that covers.
If there's anything from the facilities committee that we haven't talked about that you feel compelled to share with the rest of the board, I think we're all up to speed on the way things are going and where they're at.
Actually, I've missed the last two update meetings for Lakeview and
Facilities.
so yeah, get an update on that, I guess.
Facilities, I think the big one would be the track, is that right, Tom?
Yeah. I was wondering,
I think we lost Rochelle.
Yeah, Rochelle.
Too.
I think she just was going to be here. Yeah, we're waiting on the track to get done and the sealant to be put down and then the red covering over it and then marked. We're hoping that we see some good progress on that by the September 24th. But I said hoping. So and Mike was at that meeting and Bob was at that meeting that we talked about that. The fence around it, that will be done just as soon as they have all the materials here. They got the ADA walk done. And today they finished up with the seating and the straw and the mesh that goes over the top of that. As the board approved, the ATG said they would move some dirt over there where they had piled the rock on the back entrance, the rock entrance. That's where the shed is going to go. And once they get that surfaced, and they were working on that today, then we've got the guy that Tim, is Tim here? He is here. That we'll be ready to start on the utility, on the storage shed that we put the equipment in to vacuum the field. So those things are moving along, I think. Our goal, what we have pressed the construction company on is we want to be able to showcase it in its entirety on homecoming. So that's still the goal to do that.
Where we at, them getting the material for the rubberized
Well,
stuff?
well,
That was not available, but any update on that?
not today. I haven't had any update on that today. Wednesday, the 15th, Rochelle and I are going to be talking at 11 about trying to get John to see what the latest is on that. There's kind of a supply issue. Now, I don't know how much it's related to COVID and all those things, but it is a supply issue to get those materials. So, but then again, he's known that we need those materials for quite some time. So that's on the track. I know some of you were at home games, and the feedback we got to appreciate the city coming down, sweeping the back parking lot, getting it cleaned up. We're going to paint lines down there real soon just to get that spruced up. We couldn't really get that done when we had so much traffic and equipment.
They were done on Saturday, Tom. The lines are painted. They were done on Saturday.
They were done in the back?
In the back
Yes.
area, they're done.
Okay, good. I didn't notice that today, and I was down there twice. Are you sure?
Are you lying?
Yeah, I really don't. usually
Double
notice
check
those
him.
things. All right, good. Howard's moving along. The goal there on Howard is October 18th, and we'll see. I was down there this morning, but I got talked to Tom, the guy that's kind of the foreman there, and they said that they were going to have the inspectors come for the wiring coming Wednesday. Well, that happened today, as I understand it from Rochelle. She said that. So the drywall in that front area and those offices will really take shape here probably in the next 5 to 7 days, a lot better. But they're still working on the major heavy equipment, the airflow, the air conditioning and all those things.
So air handling here, which is good news.
Yeah. So we can see the end. Whether we make those exact dates or not will be determined probably in the next 10 days. So.
Any questions for Tom?
I just want to say that Tom and Rich and Tim have really spent an awful lot of extra time pushing those people to get moving there a little bit. I think we really need to thank them because they already had a full-time job, and this has taken them a lot of their time because they're down there every time I'm there, they're there.
Well, and then the report I get from the teachers down there is that the construction crew has been very polite. They make some noise, but that's associated with progress. But I felt that all of the people on the construction crews have been very polite and very easy to work with.
That's great.
Yeah, I haven't had to deal with any issues that were problematic. Karen Swanson, have you had to deal with anything that, well, I guess we don't need to go fishing for anything.
No.
It would have surfaced if there were problems.
Sure.
There.
That's great. That's great news.
Big problem with Karen is there's no fax machine, and there's a real need to get information from doctors' offices to the school. And is that got fixed yet, Karen? No. And
No, they worked on it for about 3 hours today, and they're gonna have to call some specialists to come in. So we'll still be getting faxes sent to other school buildings to be sent to us.
And no intercom system either, right?
No.
They're kind of tight together, I think.
Folks, thank you. We do have our financials we can move on to if you'd like. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions about any of them.
The only question I have is we've spent $1,200 a month on the pitch. But what did they present? Apparently I'm not watching them enough anymore.
What would you say?
It's 17.
What?
It's 17.
1,700? Yeah, that's right. You're right.
We've been, whatever's been in the on the TV, whatever's been, I mean, I can't list those for you right now.
We didn't do a special video like we did last year.
Not yet, we haven't.
Okay.
We can do numerous things throughout, but we've had a lot of coverage in the paper with special ads. Beginning of the school year was all part of that package.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking about on the air and you're talking about the print, okay.
The Avenues Weekly has, we
Yeah.
put quite a bit of stuff in.
Yeah, you're right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
It's been good.
Any more questions or comments, folks?
One question about the Xerox, the copy machines. That was about a 3-year contract, I think.
Oh, it's 5 years.
5 year, okay, that's fine.
I think there's 2 left.
Probably,
I have to check.
probably 2. That's right.
Lisa's, as she points out in our work packet, has the final financials, if you will, are in there for last fiscal year. Lisa, is there anything that you wanted to point out that's in there that you would share in particular with the board?
Just that we ended up better than what I projected, so, but ESSER money are in there as well, so you have to take those out of both revenues and expenditures, so. My auditors will be, well, virtually here tomorrow and the next day, so, they always can make some changes, but I don't think they will, so. We'll have all of our final certified annual report, transportation report, and special education supplement the next meeting.
You commented during the finance committee meeting in my stating correctly that our revenue exceeded expenses by about 340,000.
The plan.
Sorry, Kevin, what was that?
The plan, because it exceeded by more than that, but we exceeded the plan by that much.
Yes, thank you.
And Kevin had asked, and just in case anyone else thought it was strange, June expenditures for instruction, if you'll notice, are completely different than the rest of the months. That's because that includes 3 months of contracts and salaries, and also end of the year bills that we paid, like open enrollment, concurrent enrollment, special education, tuition. So if anybody thought that was strange, that's what that is.
And the other thing we talked about in the finance committee meeting, on the very last page of the reports, if you look down to if you have a chance and you want to take a look at the unspent authorized budget, which is one of our key financial measures, is tracking right where, pretty close, maybe a little bit better, but pretty close to where we wanted it to be in the 5-year financial plan. Not any other questions, I think we have a motion to approve the financial reports.
Move to approve financial reports.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Any opposed say no? Alan, what else do you have to share with us?
I just wanted to say I'm sure glad the district and the board is investing in air quality. That continues to be a priority in terms of dealing with our cooling, the health of our air buildings, but even more, that's pretty darn important. Boy, it was blistering hot over there that first week at Howard in those interrooms. And so I'm just saying that because hopefully a year from right now, Howard's done with all of the AC, the AC stuff, and maybe we can avoid those early outs and so on. But the early outs kind of worked out for us. It was a full day and it was blistering hot, so we went home those 2 hours early. And Of course, we have to, each day, we have to find those 10 hours unless we already have it built in, and we kind of do, but we don't know what the winter's gonna bring. So that's good. But we've had a pretty good start. Our curveball obviously has been, and it's been a worry for us, is just the numbers in terms of COVID and the Delta variant and how we're working our way through that. Today, we didn't have kids because it was professional development day, but we would have had about 10 employees that would have not been, that were not at work today because of COVID related. And I hate beating a dead horse, but again, in talking to the principals and some other staff, the challenge that's going to be for us is the number of employees that get sick in terms of how effectively we can manage and run the school on any given day. We had some pretty thorough conversations about transportation the other day, and we think we can make an adjustment or two. Tim's been driving bus every day, and we have, no backups to speak of, not that we haven't advertised and tried, because we have. So just to reinforce that, if you get X number of teachers ill and bus drivers, the key though, that we've all realized is if you can't get kids to school, it's really tough to do what we need to do. So we've had some conversations that I'm not going to throw out right now because we don't think we're going to have to do them, and it just alarms people. So, but we did take a look at a special ed route and being able to do some different things with a limited number of kids that we can still make some things happen that help get. Working with Chris Larson, he's forecasting the numbers for us. I don't know what everybody in this room, what you kind of keep track of, but I would just share out that last week, August 31st through the 6th, we had 50, these are from Adams County Public Health. We had 55 positive cases, and yesterday we had 63 people in the county. The thing that is, last week we had 12 people under 18 that were tested positive. Yesterday we had 20. So it went from 12 to 20 under the age 18. So that number continues to grow. But we just, we work with parents and we, as I've said again, but it's probably good I repeat it, we don't have some of the options by law that we had in the past. We don't have, we can't go virtual.
Oh, have you listened to today's news with the judge? Is that a federal judge has ordered that? What?
Is a federal judge.
Yeah, ordered that a school district could require students to wear masks, that they can make that decision. The state law can't do that.
So is that's
It's a temporary.
It's a temporary thing, and of course, but the emailing, I'm thinking it's all this wackiness. So the federal judge said this, we kind of overturned the state law, but then at the same time, the governor says we're going to appeal it. So we're in this back and forth nonsense.
Yeah. Well, no, I had not heard that.
It's late afternoon.
But as of right now, the mask thing is still in limbo, I'll put it that way, but we had virtual learning that we could go to. We can't do that. That really doesn't impact that or our hybrid. So we either have kids here or
We don't.
no, we don't. Now, yeah, if in fact we ran into where our numbers were really pretty high, and if in fact we were having trouble getting kids to school, having the number of teachers, then I can, with your support, treat it just like snow day. And we just say, we can't have school today because we can't make it work. Therefore, we have to make it up. We can do that. So it's just something I'll have to pay closer attention to that this evening or tomorrow in terms of how that may work out. And but that's another issue is you have to be living under a rock not to know that it's highly controversial with the mask and the requirement of a mask and what any given district is, how they're going to deal with that. So that's, I'm trying to think of what else there would be.
Can you talk a little bit about how the virtual academy thing is that going okay?
Yeah, it's going okay. Mecca can speak to it. We had a meeting the other day and talked a little bit about it. Becky, you want to give a quick overview of the virtual academy?
Yeah, I sure can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. So we have, I believe our numbers right now are at 47 students. We are having at least weekly sessions with all of our students to check in on progress. A few students we meet more frequently. Next week we'll begin our community meetings. And so we have Emily Kozak that will be leading the community meetings, and our curriculum will include things such as social emotional learning, digital citizenship, collaboration among students, appropriately online, things like that. We are very pleased with the instructional program that we chose through Edmentum. The teachers are extremely responsive. Not only students, but the guardians get emails almost on a daily basis, providing, you're on pace, you're a little off pace, here's a tip of how to turn in, a discussion question correctly. They're providing students with, in my opinion, very actionable and powerful feedback so students can be successful. So we're really pleased with the program and getting very positive feedback from not only students, but the parents as well. Do you have any specific questions?
Questions from it? Thank you, Mecca.
Sure thing.
I've had a couple of people ask me there recently when we're gonna start the process for that petition.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you mentioned that. We had the group that got together and a community group. And been some time ago, Rochelle kind of took that feedback back and is working on doing some things. So in terms of just an overview of what that community group kind of thought it could potentially look like, what we need in it and so on. So what I was hoping that we could do is maybe 2 weeks from tonight, we could get Rochelle to provide kind of a timeline of where we're at right now, which we haven't done a whole lot, but where we're headed on it and some of the things that she's gotten done. And so with the continuing planning of what it's going to look like, get that in front of the facility committee as an update.
I think
Yeah.
when we did the bond issue, we had a brochure, and so people think we have the plans already drawn. They don't realize we're not at that. They're finding too that.
Well, I think just in general, I think just the beginning of it, how it's all gonna work when, I think from our original timeline, said something about maybe starting building this summer and completion in 2023.
It did say completion in 2023.
Yeah.
The one thing that Rochelle said to me the other day, because of some of our experiences with power and materials, that we may have to make an adjustment in that, but she would know that. But that needs to be part of the conversation. So, yeah, we do need to get back and get it in front of us a little bit. We spend most of our time on the hour and the track and the football field, but we need to get that back in front of us again. And I think I did talk to Rochelle about maybe the 27th of giving an overview of where we're at with the high school project.
Did you have fairly good participation? You mentioned the community group.
No, we didn't have a large number, but they were pretty active. Bob was there. They were, Mike was part of it, Mike Craig. And there were several
It
others.
seemed like a third of what should have been there was
Yeah.
something like that.
It was, yeah, who knows? It's just, you invite people and they get busy. It was prior to the beginning of the school year and.
People get pretty distracted about that time.
You know, yeah, you can, you ask people to come in that have a vested interest in our district. Not that people without kids don't. It's just that we try to get people, a cross-section of folks, and a lot of them that do have kids in the system. Busy people, and, you ask them for 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and that's not always easy to come up with. But she'll have something for us in a sketch wise that will continue the conversation.
Any more questions for Tom?
I have a question for Marty.
Well,
I don't think we finished up the superintendent's evaluation.
Well, I can say that I delivered it to Tom. And I told him that when he was prepared to do so, and if he wanted to meet with the board, that, to let us know that.
Okay, I think the board wanted to meet with him, is that right?
I understand that. So that's how I delivered it to Tom.
Well, I thought the evaluation was done. I got a document.
Okay, does the rest of you think it was done?
I got a finished document from Marty.
I handed it to Tom. But I did share with him that the board was interested in meeting with him, and I said, I left it with him, when would he like to get together with you?
If the board, if you want to meet with me individually, I went through the process.
Yeah, I know, it was, maybe I misunderstood, but I thought it was our understanding that we, as a group, wanted to meet with Tom to go over the evaluation.
Yeah, and having a closed session with Tom is at the person's discretion to have the closed session or not.
Okay, I mean, if that's,
I didn't think I knew that.
Well, certainly, I mean, if you wanted to talk about it in open session, that would be one thing, which I wouldn't suggest, but
no, I assumed it would be a closed session.
yeah, closed session is always at the request of the person who you're asking to have a closed session with.
I'm
So
sorry.
as Tom pointed out, if anybody would like to talk to him specifically about his evaluation, then
You can certainly come in.
Sure, I mean, I was just trying to clarify. I was under the impression that we were going to meet again, but if I was mistaken, then
I remember we talked about the board would like to do it jointly, because we did talk about that.
yes.
But as I'm thinking about this, if Tom would have to be the one who says, yeah, I want to do that, then it becomes his choice. Right, if that's the way the closed session
yeah,
works.
a closed session for personnel.
So he basically have to agree to it and want to do that. And I think what Tom is saying, if you want to come talk to him, we'll talk to him.
I didn't know that was part of the process.
I didn't either, I'm learning.
Well, to ask, even the first closed session we had with Tom, we have to ask Tom, do you want to have a closed session to discuss it?
Sure,
And we did.
we did, yes, but. Yeah,
I mean, what the board would have, the board has two options. I mean, the board can say we'd like to have a closed session, and Tom can say I prefer not to. And then the board can discuss whatever you'd like to discuss.
sure, and it's his choice whether it's
Public session.
open or closed. Sure, I understand that, I appreciate that. Either way. If the rest of you are happy with the way it is, I'm fine with that. If you think that there was more to it, I guess, I'd like to hear that.
If you'd like to, I mean, again, we have three options, I guess. If closed session, if Tom so requests it. Discuss review in an open session, or discuss the review individually with Tom.
I'm not pushing anything.
I'd sure like to know about these things before being put in a spot like this.
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm not very happy right now to be put in this position where I'm asked these types of questions when you all have a phone. Bob's in my office once a week, it seems like, sitting out talking. I have a phone, I have an office, you know where I'm at. I went through a process.
Sure.
That was done and official and given to me. Now we're gonna do more, and I'm being put in this position right now, and I'm not, it's just not something that I've experienced before.
Tom, I was just asking if there was a follow-up. I wasn't requesting. I was under the impression that there would be. If there's not, I'm fine with that. Okay? I don't mean to offend anybody. It's just I'm trying to clarify whether we were or we weren't. It doesn't sound like we are. So.
It's a board discretion on the routes or route that we go.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, there's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Thank you.